With that tree down on a gas station. So.
Call the March 14th, 2024 Prairie Planning Commission meeting to order. First item of business, the approval of minutes from February 15th meeting.
I move we approve the minutes as written from the February 15th, 2024 meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. A request for conditional use for the operation of a food court and entertainment venue at 202 East Cleveland Street, pending new address. I'm assuming that's going to be John.
That might be. And I think everybody's familiar with the area that this is. It backs up to the business alley downtown on the south side of the businesses. Property once held a car lot for Donnie Skelton. I think that's how a lot of the old timers remember it. But Joe, if you want to just stand up and tell them what your plans are and if you got the drawings.
Sure. I don't have any fancy drawings or anything other than that, but let's see.
Go ahead,
There you go. Valdoy's
Hey, this is
rendition.
incredible. What are you talking about? This is
3D
awesome.
drawings and all?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I couldn't do this if I tried.
Yep, everything. But yeah, with that up there, we'd like to have the, it'd be easier if I just kind of walk over
Sure.
on that screen. All right. So approximately here, would be a men's and women's restroom. And then directly in front of that would be a covered pavilion, with a small stage, medium-sized stage. And then on angles on each side, would be 4 food trucks. And then this would be an open area seating place. And we'd like to do a dog park here and then play area for kids there. Just small stuff as far as dog park. It's out at 24, but that's the general idea of what we're looking for. I know there was a question I got a phone call about this area here, which is a right of way 20 feet off of this property that we hadn't hard surfaced yet, but I'm talking with Brian and Chuck, the utilities and stuff need to come out here to Cleveland Street, so it didn't make sense to hard surface that and then cut it back up.
Yeah, I think one of the neighbors is concerned about the gravel going in, and I think that's what the phone call.
Yeah, and if there's anything we can do to, I don't know.
I think it's, Mayor, you may have more insight on this than I do since I'm not in the office as much, but I think she was okay knowing that it was just a temporary.
Yeah, I mean, that may be more of an assumption on my side. She was just curious on what was going on, and the answer was pretty plain on the idea of, well, children can't have a gravel driveway, so eventually it will be paved.
Yeah.
And so, she was just curious on, physical permits, what was going on, just some answers.
Sure. Yeah, if there's anything that we can do to allay her fears or concerns or something, just let me know.
So where would would you use that road as the main entrance or from the back of
No.
Main Street?
It would be my intention to have the access off the public parking at the top there.
Okay.
And try and keep, because we have a shop there and we run out some space there at the bottom of the screen. And I'd like to keep the traffic flow to the top on the public parking there.
Okay.
And it is a CBD zone, central business district, and there are no parking requirements in CBD. So businesses are basically allowed to use public parking as
Sure.
part of their parking. A little different than most other commercial zones.
What hours, or days, are you talking like 7 days a week or have you got that?
I think it's gonna vary a lot. I think during nice weather, summertime, it's probably a 7-day-a-week deal that some of the food trucks will choose to be open.
Primarily gonna be up to them then, as far as when they,
Yes, yep.
The music venue part of it, would there be a cap on how late they would play? I know there is some residents.
We can certainly do that because, yeah, there are some homes close to that. But I mean, for what we've talked about now, Keith Boston is kind of heading up. He's turned into his little project and he'd like to just have some local music and stuff and like Saturday evenings, you know, have them play until 8 or 9 o'clock or something like that. And I mean, we're not having any rock and roll deals until 1 o'clock in the morning.
Why not?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Food court festival.
That's what,
There you go. Hey, I'm all for it, you know?
do we have any noise ordinance in CBD?
We have a noise ordinance that's general to the whole city.
Okay.
It doesn't specify by any zone. And music blaring and stuff like that is listed in the ordinance, so we may need to look at that, but I mean,
That's what I almost wonder if it should be like a spot.
I think it's something we need to examine.
Yeah,
Yeah, cause like you're trying to invite a local music slash sports bar slash whatever venue to downtown, if it ever was wet, you wouldn't want quite as much number of these ordinance.
And
Right.
the city hosts its own events down there,
Right.
like the street dances and stuff where we have music, so.
Yeah.
We need to look at that generally anyway, and to see if it does need some modification.
Especially on like a weekend.
yeah. Yeah.
anyone
We're
in the
definitely
audience?
looking to do something tasteful and family friendly,
Sure.
so it, you know, it's, like I said, I don't see it.
It's a food court, it better be tasteful.
Pun intended.
That's why you're in charge.
Are you here to speak on this, or you just?
My question was the entertainment,
Oh.
what was gonna happen? How loud it's gonna be and how often?
Summertime, we've discussed weekly, but not late night type things, at all. We would like to do special events at certain times, but not, like I said, it's not, I'm getting old, I don't like to be up that late.
Well, like Larry said, there's no ordinance on the,
Correct.
what noise you have, so.
Yep.
That should be good.
Cool.
I move we approve the request for conditional use for the operation of a food court and entertainment venue at 202 East Cleveland Street, which is pending in the address.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second to approve the conditional use. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Excited.
Yeah, we did.
That's gonna be good.
Yeah. Excited.
All right. Item 3, amendment to the preliminary plat phases 1 and 2 for Copper Hill subdivision.
Hold on, JC. This is kind of more related to city council, but do we need to look at the food truck ordinance? The stuff that we're working on right now,
Of course, you've already adopted the food court order.
right? Is that gonna change with this? the food truck?
What portion of it don't you think applies to?
No, I just didn't know if he was gonna be okay with the permits and
Oh,
stuff the way
I
we.
don't know that I have had a conversation with a few food folks since
Uh-huh.
this has started. In fact, I had one the other day that wanted to locate and he was $400 more than he was willing to spend, but I told him as long as he got it in before it changes,
Sure.
which it's got a 60-day referendum period, if it was $100,
Right,
he was gonna rush down and get it paid. I don't know if he did or not.
okay,
But I have not had that conversation with Jobin, but I would think these would be long-term.
right,
They're gonna have a lot less problem paying $400 in a short term.
okay. I just wanted to make sure they were all aware.
I'll make you.
Okay.
Copper Hill, I am very surprised not to see anybody here representing.
Yeah.
And surprised enough that I checked my email, thinking that maybe I didn't tell him the date, but I found the email where I didn't tell him the date and time. So it's not on me, everybody. But, this is first and second phase, which, this would be Pittman Street, South Pittman. So it only is going to affect, get this straight here.
that,
It is.
Summit Street?
Yeah, it does reach over to the border as well. So this would be
Blackville?
the white building, the new house.
Yeah, new houses.
Right. So it would reach over right to the other side of it, so this would be phase one, this would be phase two. And there are some changes, it's actually less lots than they previously, submitted. This had lots on it before, and they're putting drainage in there now, drainage detention pond. Once the engineer looked at the detention that was needed, they needed more detention at that location. So they eliminated some lots there. And then over here where this power line is, they initially said that they were gonna put lots there. SWEPCO said no, which I told them that I thought SWEPCO would say no. And so they were limited quite a few lots. This thing's gone from 600 down to about 500 lots. So we, lot less dense than it was before. But this is phase one and phase two only, and that's primarily summarizes the main changes, I think. It will include a lot of the green space areas. It's showing basketball courts here in phase one. It's showing the large, green area up here in phase two. So it will include some of that, because it looks like.
Do we know what green space is gonna be in phase two? Is that like parking?
I think it's gonna be more of a park back there, where people can come and, you know, just hang out. It says park area. They have put in some separate parking spaces there off street for that, and they have done the same thing.
They did on one side around the other.
Yeah.
I would, when I saw that, I would almost require it on both sides of that.
I was glad to see that they just put it in, so I mean,
Yeah, I would want it on both sides. I don't know why you wouldn't have it on the other. If you plan on having people there, that's parking space also, and it'd be almost not off-road, but kind of off-road.
I get
Not
that
side
that's probably about 8 parking spaces, which is probably for a neighborhood park, it's probably pretty adequate, but,
Well, yeah, because several of those people are still.
most of the people using the park probably will be residents in that area, I would guess.
I couldn't find my notes. I know we were required some staggered phasing for this. Is this not heavy loaded on the front end for the first?
And that's a pretty good chunk, they told us initially that the 70 to 80 per
Yeah.
year, this is about
160.
160, so yes, the answer is yes. This does, though, they are gonna proceed, ahead with the 10-inch sewer line that goes around to the north, so this will get the major part, and that may be why they want to weight it heavily, because they're gonna have a lot of investment on the first phase of this. The heaviest part of their investment's gonna be on this first phase, because they gotta build that sewer line, and it's gonna be expensive. Millions of dollars expensive.
Wasn't part of the concern though is the influx of people on the town, basically. That was part of the consideration for the
Part of the
spacing.
discussion we had.
So if you take 160 households at what, 3 a house, that's
And I kind of get their justification, just knowing what construction
Right.
costs are, but, I think that doesn't necessarily mean that overrides.
right. Well,
And I wish they were here to defend it, but.
Okay, we'll have to improve. Butler, or at least for that from.
It would have to be widened, and I'll be honest with you, and I should have looked at this, but I don't remember what the construction plans show on that. I'm sure it does. Since they're not here, I mean, you're.
Table.
table.
Yeah.
We've tabled a lot less because there's no representation.
The only thing I can figure out is, you know, we just rock.
Right. for the
It's been
storm or
probably
something.
3 weeks ago that I sent that email to him telling him what the dates were. Cause it's not like Jesse Fulcher not here. I found it was odd that he wasn't.
Well, one person went to hear their side,
Right.
like I said, myself anyway.
Is there anything that we could not like or ask for that could be thrown to him so he'd have an answer by the next time he came? That would be the one thing that would be getting ahead of, other than.
I can mention the comments that y'all have made here tonight. Is there anything else? The widening Butler, I'm pretty sure that's included, but I'll have to look in construction plans. Chuck was here, he could probably tell me, but.
And is it widening it for the whole space? Cause they
It would be
in green, it's not being.
It would be the width of phase one.
It'd just be the
Yeah, and
phase.
then they would continue with it with the next phase.
Yeah, like you said, that's not.
And that's the same thing they've done with Hudson Heights.
It's consistent, you're saying.
It's consistent with what we require.
But it will take care of the whole side of Pittman.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it wouldn't, well, yes, because Pittman technically, it wouldn't take care of the,
Pittman from wherever it starts down to Boston Street.
yes, the Boston. That other
The
part.
rest of that, there's
That's
no street there, the street
right, that's
turns.
just the fire line.
Oh, gotcha.
Right.
That's right.
It hits Boston and turns, so most of that is not adjoining a street.
So just.
Yeah.
Which we did get less density, which is nice, if that's the case. With a couple of these.
Yeah,
I like that part.
It didn't hurt my feelings at 100 lots.
Knowing that though, I wonder. You know, what other opportunities we have down here in this space that's. Now what, you know what I mean?
It's
I know it's a
power
lot
line,
to say.
I mean, there's a big, huge power line, obviously, but, Wagon Springs put their detention under it, which I think they don't show their detention under.
They don't.
But there's no reason why people can't use that green space either.
Yeah, if it was me, then I don't know, I wouldn't leave it out, be extending those lots right there, I can make those lots bigger, so I can have a big backyard.
Yeah, I don't know what their consideration was, but
And then also I was thinking, this is soccer here, you said how many vehicles for that, but, you know, soccer is how many people? And are they gonna do like their Washington County league there,
you
or,
talking about the basketball court?
it looks like a soccer to me.
I
Doesn't
think
look
it's
like
basketball. I
It
may
could
be
be.
wrong.
They may just.
I didn't play basketball with
Goals
this
on the-
rectangular 3-point line. It's a box, it's a soccer box, but that doesn't mean it's not basketball.
Yeah, I think it's whatever icon they picked.
I think so
up.
too. Now basketball wouldn't, yeah, it would be very many people.
I think that's what it is, because I think I remember him mentioning a basketball court. I don't think it's big enough for soccer. I don't think. It may be. What's a soccer field? It's pretty long. Depends on
Football
the depends
field.
on age group.
Football field. Which they can do smaller ones for younger ages, but.
Yes.
But it's pretty much a football field.
Yeah.
And I don't have the scale right there, it's hard to tell, really, so.
I think, all, I mean, not all, I mean, you're gonna see the traffic come, probably, would you anticipate most of it to come out of, on Butler?
And just FYI, I don't know if y'all remember, but April's meeting is early this month. It's like April 4th.
I saw that, yeah.
So.
It's not that big of
It
a,
would not be.
I would say anything going to the school would be Pittman,
Yeah,
and anything going to work would be Butler, trying to get out of town. Later on down the road, you'd have it going half and half probably.
It doesn't show in this phase, but I mean, there will be a street that goes towards the bypass in the later phases. It's shown on their picture, but.
Right.
I make a motion that we table the discussion, but we can relay any concerns we have for the April 4th meeting.
I'll say that.
Have a motion and a second to table, with comments going to the engineer prior to next month's meeting. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And what comments do we want to go to them?
I think Ryan, you mentioned some parking, additional parking on. And then,
I think the density is a
Brady
concern.
wanted to question about the heavier loading on the first phase, right?
I agree with that.
Brady.
And I think you're exactly right. I think they're probably trying to get some of their infrastructure costs up front or covered.
I guess what we would need to know, maybe an internal question for us too, with the table, can the city, do we feel comfortable with that? And then does the school
I feel
feel
more
comfortable
comfortable
with
with
that?
it today than when they proposed that preliminary plat, and I'll tell you why. We're using that additional bond money right now to work on those projects that we thought were gonna be 3-4 years down the road.
Mhm.
We're already engineering them as we speak, so we'll probably have all of our infrastructure in place within the next 1.5 to 2 years. So, yeah, I feel fine with 160 lots. We had talked about we could go up to 350 to 400 lots without any improvements. So
Okay.
until they hit that threshold, we don't even need any improvements we're working on.
Kid wise, you're talking 160 houses, maybe 160 kids spread out through 12 grades. You know,
One more.
yeah, I'm just saying on average, right? It's half a kid, right? So I was kind of going above.
2.6 is what the last census had per household, so
Point
0.6.
seven, point seven.
One extra figure.
So you're talking, I mean, you're safely guessing.
And it doesn't
160
cost as
kids.
much to teach a 0.6 kid than it does.
Right.
The building costs just the same. to
Right.
build.
But you're looking at the school
That's a whole
handling around 10 kids per grade. The problem is all the other growth that's also doing that. So you're talking almost a new class per grade.
Well, and you figure these are more than likely gonna be smaller, probably a little lower income, so you'd expect a younger family.
These
Possibly
single
more.
parents, well.
Could
Yeah.
be, it's hard, it's hard.
With two kids. I mean, single parent with two kids.
Yeah.
But I mean, that would be the impact on the school,
Mhm.
and that would be the question for Dr. Campbell is just, can you handle, you know, how do we look if we're handling 160 kids just from this area?
Well, we can ask their, I mean, we can't really control their timing once we approve it, but,
Right,
Well, we can with.
but well, I mean, but we did, I mean.
We
for
did.
those-
well, no, I just mean if we approve phase one, we can't be like, you can't build the last 10 houses for
right.
another year.
No, once we approve.
Yes.
the
So that's why,
phase. So I mean, you can approve phase one, or you can approve
Right.
phase one only, and
And I wonder too, how fast it would take for them to get families, kids, with the school prepared for it. You know what I'm saying?
have you seen the Roush Coleman developments?
They're fast.
yeah,
They're
that's what I
fast.
say, I would
I
say.
mean, they probably already have
year
it
and a half.
sold, they're just waiting.
Unfortunately, I moved like 2 or 3 people into Roscommon homes. I don't know why they call me, but
Yeah, yeah. They,
Prairie View filled up houses probably faster than any subdivision we've ever had in that direct zone.
yeah, it was
I
fast.
think the economy slowed down just a little bit as far as the houses.
Yeah, we're hearing, especially on the smaller houses like, Wagon Springs, that really slowed down.
I move we adjourn.
Second,
And a motion, a second to adjourn, all those in favor say aye.
I,
You are adjourned.
that's the fastest meeting we've ever had.
Well,
I think we've had some.
not too long ago, that was.
I don't think I was here.
No, yeah, I think you were gone.
I was